How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Mike here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is my free space where I get in front of a camera and talk to you about whatever I want. And today I'm gonna talk about GoPros. Now, if you are a die-hard GoPro fan, this video may be offensive to you, so I would encourage you to keep watching, but tread lightly. But I've also earned the right to talk about GoPro and really all the products that I use. So something you guys should know is that whatever product that I buy or use, whether at work or in my home, I actually buy the product and I also buy the stocks of that product. That's just a philosophy of mine, okay? Now, GoPros, I've had GoPros now for about 6 years and I've owned a bunch of the different models. I also have stocks in GoPros, but this week I had to sign the divorce papers and let them go. But here's the reason why. 6 years ago, when I first jumped into the YouTube scene, I bought my first set of GoPros. As a matter of fact, this was the first GoPro model that I bought, and I've had it now for years. This is the GoPro Hero 3, okay? Now, this is not the exact one I bought. As a matter of fact, when I first bought them, they went bad within like 6 months to 8 months, and I had to return them to GoPro. The problem was they were just freezing. Basically, I would turn them on and it would just freeze. Now, I thought that was a fluke. As a matter of fact, this actually, it's worked out great for the most part, and that's why I've kept it. But every other GoPros that I've bought and used since then, the issue has been consistent, meaning every time I use this thing or I try to use it, it just shuts off or it freezes on me. I don't know, GoPros just like to die and turn off on their own. But here's the thing, I kept using GoPros because it was solving a problem for me. And as a matter of fact, I've been so loyal to GoPros that even when they had competitors, I still bought GoPros because I was sure that they're still the best in the game. But guess what? I don't think that anymore. Now, how you use your action camera is really up to you and what you do. I'm an aviator, and the reason I bought GoPros was to record my flight videos. And as I said, the biggest problem I had with GoPros is that they just like to turn off. For those of you who watch me on my aviation channel, Mojo Grip, I can let you know in a little secret. There's been a lot of videos that you never got to see simply because GoPro decided not to record it. I can't tell you how many times that I've planned a trip or I planned a flight and I set everything up only to come home disappointed. I put in my memory card or I just plugged the GoPro in, and I would see either it recorded for say 7 minutes out of like a 2-hour flight, or it just didn't record anything. Now, GoPros are prone to so many different things. Sometimes it gets overheated and I'm like, okay, sure, if it's overheating, I can always stop the video and continue later on. Or maybe if I get into cooler air, I can always turn it back on. But this never fixed the problem. As a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, every time I've used my GoPro, and this is like hundreds and thousands of times, I've never gotten more than 20 to 25 minutes. That's crazy to say, but that's the truth. No more than 20 to 25 minutes of this thing turning on. Another problem I always had with GoPros were the battery. It's not what you think. What I mean is I would charge my GoPros to use them for a particular flight or an event, whatever the case may be. And on the day of, when I turn the GoPros on, it shows me that I only have 1 or 2 bars left. And I'm like, wait, I just charged this 24 hours ago or 48 hours ago. Apparently, and I learned this early on, GoPros just like to eat themselves. Basically, the battery gets eaten off by itself if you leave it in the camera. This is what I learned. So every time now that I charge my GoPro batteries, or that I used to charge my GoPro batteries, I would always leave them out of the camera. That's one tip for you guys. If you're still using GoPros, make sure you don't leave them in the cameras, because guess what? On the day off, you're gonna be disappointed. You would think that GoPro would fix these issues with all the different models that they've had over the years, and I've had almost every single one. I bought GoPros all the way to the Hero 7. This is my Hero 7 Black, and guess what? I still have the same problem. This thing just loves to shut off whenever it wants. As a matter of fact, this Hero 3 stays longer than this Hero 7. Sometimes I would turn on my Hero 7 and all I see is a dead screen or some discoloration. I've tried upgrading the firmware and so on and so forth, never fixed the problem. But guess what? I kept using GoPros. I kept using GoPros because I thought they still have the best quality, the best video quality, and so I kept buying them and I kept using them. Now, fast forward to 2019, 2 years ago, when I embarked on my journey to build my airplane. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go into Mojo Grip or use the playlist link in the description below, and you can watch all the video series I did on building that airplane. Now, with my plane, the avionics that we built for that plane is made by Garmin. And so in building that panel, one of the major problems that I wanted to solve, which I'm gonna list now, is my audio. So another problem I had with the almighty GoPro, my audio recording. So whenever you fly, it's always nice where you can record your ATC audio. As a matter of fact, a flight video is almost useless, almost unwatchable without the ATC audio. That's why for a lot of the videos that you actually see on my other channel, Mojo Grip, I would do a voiceover, because guess what? I get home and my GoPro did not record my audio, even though I bought the right wire. In order to record your flight audios, you get one of these. Okay, this is called night cam, and this is what happens. You have a part that plugs into your GoPro, and again, I bought this one specifically for this GoPro, just to tell you how many GoPros I've gone through. This one, I bought it for this GoPro, so it plugs in directly, and then you have this other tip here, goes into the airplane, and that way you're able to record both your video and your audio. Guess what? Over the years, it would just go in and out on me, to the point where I just was like, I'm never gonna use this thing again. So this is almost brand new, but I've never used it. And just like I bought an audio jack for this, I also bought one for this, and same problem. Now here I am building this airplane, and I thought to myself, the number one problem that I've always had over the years is to solve this audio problem. And in building out the avionics, we were recommended to try the Garmin Verb. Garmin Verb is another action camera that is made by Garmin. But the beauty of a Garmin Verb is that I would need no wires. So basically, I don't need to get any more of these. It would just record wirelessly, because my Garmin Verb is able to connect to my panel through Bluetooth. Every time I turn on the camera to record my videos, the audio also automatically syncs into it, which is perfect. And this, guys, is my Garmin Verb. Now, here's what happened when I started using this camera. The first phenomena that happened with my Garmin Verb is that it stayed on. It stayed on through entire flight. I would have no issues, and when I get home, I pull that memory card out and my entire flight video is on it, both the video and the audio. Another thing that I love about this camera is this switch right here. Now, the GoPro has one, which is a button, but again, oftentimes where I would turn or try to turn my GoPro on and I would see a dark screen or a flat screen or some other crap, it just doesn't work right. Whereas with this camera, it simply does what it does. If I switch this on, automatically it starts recording. And so whenever I'm flying, now again, depending on what activity you're using your cameras for, you can go in and out, you can pause, you can stop, you can fix things. But when you're flying an airplane, you don't want to bother yourself with these things. You just want to turn them on and leave them on, forget about it. This was my dream in using GoPros. But again, over the years, I've never actually gotten the opportunity to just turn my cameras on and leave them, because guess what? They die. They just like to die, until I got this. Now, in getting the Garmin Verb, it really opened my eyes, and I saw that an action camera can actually do what it's supposed to do, which is stay on and record your videos. Now, the only downside that I had with this camera, and I've been using it, both the GoPros and my Garmin Verb, for a while now, the only downside was the picture quality. So the GoPro picture quality is still like 10 times better, in my opinion, than this. And also the GoPro had better stabilization. So whenever I'm flying or I'm going through some type of turbulence, or maybe even I'm on the ground where it's a little, you get some vibration from the airplane. With the Garmin Verb, the picture is a little shaky, but with the GoPro, the stabilization works seamlessly. Again, when it chooses to come on. So over the months, I still stuck to the GoPro because of these things, but I started to think, what if there was an alternative out there where I didn't have to constantly think, is my video recording? So a few weeks back, I prepared for a nice flight, set all my GoPros on, and guess what? It disappointed me once again. And that's when I decided, you know what, it's time to make a change. So I started to do some research, as I normally do, That's watching YouTube videos and see what's really out there. I talked to my other pilot friends, and I'll be honest, most of the pilot or people in the pilot community, we also use GoPro. There's some pilots who use the Insta360, some pilots who use the Garmin, but majority still uses GoPro. And I'm telling them I have this problem with my GoPro. Long story short, I came across the DJI. Now, my experience with DJI, I've owned the drones, I've owned the Osmo Mobile, and they've worked seamlessly over the years. And really, when they came out with an action camera, I didn't think anything of it, again, because I was so loyal to the GoPro brand. But long and behold, I took the leap of faith and I decided to switch up my GoPro with a DJI action camera. Now guys, I bought a set of these and I used them for the very first time today, which is why I'm making this video. Earlier today, I went on an hour flight and I turned these cameras on and they stayed on. They stayed on through the whole time. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't even look at it. As a matter of fact, the game plan today was that I was gonna turn the cameras on and forget about them. And when I touched down, when I taxied back to the hangar, I see these cameras, they are still recording. Again, my experience with the GoPros, usually anything after 20 minutes, that thing is off. But in testing these today, I was so impressed. And guess what? This camera has exact same features as this camera. But here's the kicker. This camera, one, has two screens, which I don't think I would ever use the screen up front. I only wanted a camera that just works. And this thing stayed on, it works. But also, when I found out that it was only a fraction of the cost. So all of the GoPros that I've bought over the years cost me on average $400. So it's usually listed for $399. And that's the price point that I typically buy my GoPros. This was listed for $199. I'm not sure why DJI dropped the price, but I thought, why the hell not? So I bought a bunch of these, and guys, this video is not sponsored. I promise you, all of the cameras I have in here I bought with my own money, and that's why I'm making a real review about these cameras. So I bought a bunch of these, and again, I tested them today and they worked perfectly. And really, this was all I needed to sign the divorce papers with GoPro. So as of this week, like I said, I've sold my stocks, no more GoPro stocks, and as a matter of fact, they weren't really doing that well. So I sold them off, and I'm also gonna be getting rid of my GoPro cameras. So I say all of that to say this. I ranted for about maybe 15 minutes. I don't know how long this video is going to be. For somebody who's watching this, if you're in the market to buy an action camera right now, I'm gonna stand on my 2 feet and tell you, stay away from GoPro. This is coming from somebody who's been loyal to them for years now, and the product is just not good. The video quality is great, but just the usability of the product is completely useless. There's no point in having great picture if you don't actually get to record that great picture. I would say look at other options. For me, I went with the DJI. They've worked great so far. Now, I've only had them now not too long, but I will continue to test them. If something comes up, I will let you know. But consider Garmin, consider DJI. Garmin would be more of a third option because they actually discontinued the camera, so any support or whatever for it is done. But I can tell you the camera that I have now works perfectly compared to the GoPro. And so moving forward, I'm basically going to keep my Garmin Verb, and I will also use it in conjunction with the DJI. Today it was great, and I just wanted to rant a little bit because I've been waiting for this moment. So guys, if you're in the market for any action cameras, I would really consider the DJI or even Insta360. I have a few friends who use those. They're great, but stay away from GoPros. It's not worth it. I felt like they've lived off of their name, and really, it breaks my heart to say this because I respected the GoPro brand. To me, they pioneered this entire industry. And if GoPro is watching this, okay, I think for the company, I don't know, maybe they got a little bit arrogant and they didn't anticipate that some new people will come in or new tech will come in and take some of that market share. And right now, GoPros compared to everything else that I've used is not so good. That's all I'm going to say. The only downside to this entire story is I can't get any DJI stocks. But when they do come out, I do plan on picking up some. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe with the notification bell on. I'm actually curious what your experience has been with the GoPro, or if you have any other suggestion for an action camera. For me, I'm keeping my DJI, but I'm still in the market to see if there's anything better out there that I can use. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me. Again, my name is Mike. Stay tuned, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.